The Franklin expeditions. The Franklin expeditions were being funded by me. I made other videos on it, but basically it was living with snow, going up in snow. It stems from my whaling. It was like precursor whaling expeditions, and then they found whales, and whales turned out to be a good resource, so they started using it. And I sold it a little bit. I had a couple of stations up there. They were actually my precursor expedition stations that actually became whaling stations, or vice versa. And then they were basically living up there all year round to try and live in snow and all that. It's a complicated, long running expedition thing, probably going back thousands of years or whatever. But basically, every year, and they turned the ships into mobile positions later on. But basically, it all centers around me and who I was and my success. And at first, I had sailing ships going up there, and then later on, once I got more steam vessels, somewhere around the time of Titanic, they made real headway. They tried paddle wheels in ice, didn't really work. They tried screwdrivers in ice. It did work a lot better. They perfected going through ice. They tried just wooden front ends, which didn't work very well. Then they tried thicker wood front ends, which did work. They used massively huge timbers to plow through the ice with just wood. Later on, they did metal shielding over the heavily wood. Then they did a steel hull in front of the thing, reinforced steel hull. First ones I believe were they just reinforced the wood front ends with steel. Then they did actual purposeful built steel front end that could plow through the hull. They tried different shapes on what could plow through the hull. A big post underneath that would lift up the ice that would rip out the snow, which worked pretty well, but not that well. Then they tried the going up over the ice. I mean, they tried going underneath the ice and then rip it up, which didn't work all that well. Then they tried the go up on top of the ice and then use your weight to crush the ice, and that worked a little bit better. And it really just centers around my attempts to get through ice, pretty much, or my people's attempts to actually break through ice, and my different ideas about how to get through ice. A long steel skinny post that would actually like lift up the ice versus going up on top of the ice and then breaking and then using the weight to crush through the ice, which works a lot better. Um, anyway, there are all kinds of different ice ships or ice vessels that were tried. Some of them were actually used during the whaling thing because they found that the whales like to hide underneath the ice, which is a very good idea. And they were hunting whales for a little while until I put a stop to it because I thought they were depopulating the whale population, and we were getting away from whale blubber and whale oil anyway. And but there were a lot of whales, so. And the whales would eat the shrimp, which is just stupid because apparently when humanity it's like, really, you're not supposed to kill the whale just because they're eating all your shrimp. That's just stupid. I don't know. Anyway, whatever, or krill or whatever, I don't know. They used excuses or whatever. Anyway, whatever. Anyway, though, but the point though is that I was having expeditions in ice. I made a lot of money. They were very successful. Um, it was just about research for making an ice cutter, which was later on perfected, did very well, and basically involves me 100%. Just like a lot of other things. It's basically because I had textiles, I had water wheels, I had airplanes, and I was able to supplement one income with another. Basically, where I took my strong points, I had aircraft or whatever, I had this other project which was doing very well, and I was then paying some people to go and perfect this other thing, which was at the time ice cutting. Just like later on, I use coal trains and whatever to get scuba equipment. I just would basically take another project where I was doing really well in, and then basically pay a small group to get perfection in this other thing. And I was basically like moving, you know, um, using my past successes to fund my future successes. Um, which actually did really well because while everyone else was wandering around just working every day, I had my my hand on the future, and I was getting there as fast as I could. Which, I had slow success, but then it moved to faster and faster success. So, and now it's ancient history. So anyway.